It happened 2 winters ago, when I was 19. My parents had gone out of town for a family wedding. They begged me to come, but I had a few online classes and didn't want to travel. I told them I'd be fine alone for a few days. I'd stayed home by myself before, but that week felt different from the start. We live in a small neighborhood just outside Denver, quiet, peaceful, and surrounded by thin woods that stretch for miles. That Friday, the snow started early. The streets were empty by 8 p.m., the kind of silence that makes even the sound of a ticking clock feel too loud. I remember sitting in the living room, the dim light of my laptop reflecting off the glass window. At around 11:30, I paused the movie I was watching because I thought I heard something. 3 faint knocks on the front door. I waited, assuming it was just the wind, or maybe a branch hitting the wood. But then it came again, slow, deliberate. 3 knocks, spaced apart like whoever it was had all the time in the world. I walked quietly to the hallway. The motion light on the porch was glowing, but when I looked through the peephole, there was no one there. Just white snow falling under the yellow porch light. I opened the door slightly and felt a gust of icy wind slap my face. No footprints, no cars, nothing but untouched snow leading down the driveway. I closed the door quickly and double-checked the lock. 10 minutes later, while I was back on the couch, my phone buzzed with a notification, motion detected at your back door. I froze. The camera feed loaded slowly because of the bad Wi-Fi, but when it did, I saw a dark shape standing near the glass, tall, unmoving. It looked like someone wearing a hooded coat. I couldn't see a face. I grabbed a kitchen knife, my hands shaking so badly the blade rattled against the counter. The knocking started again, only this time it wasn't the front door. It came from the back, loud and slow, as if whoever it was wanted me to know they could reach any part of my house. I called my neighbor, Mr. Grant, an older man who'd known my parents for years. He sounded half asleep when he answered. When I told him what was happening, he said, "Stay calm, don't open any doors, I'll come over." His voice was steady, but I could hear the concern in it. While waiting, I turned off all the lights and peeked through the blinds. The backyard camera still showed that same figure standing in the snow, completely still. Then the image flickered and the shape was gone. I was staring at the empty screen when I heard it, scraping. Like fingernails dragging down the glass of the back door. Slow, long, purposeful. Every hair on my body stood up. My phone buzzed again, a text from Mr. Grant. "I'm outside your front door, open up." But when I looked through the peephole, there was no one there. The porch light flickered once, and then went out completely. The house was drowned in darkness, except for the faint blue glow of my phone screen. Another buzz, same text again. "I'm outside your front door, open up." Same wording, same punctuation. Something about it felt wrong. Mr. Grant never texted, he barely used his phone. I texted back, "Can you call me?" No reply. Then my phone vibrated again, but this time it wasn't a message, it was an incoming call. "Caller ID, Mr. Grant." I answered immediately. "Don't open the door," he said, his voice tense and breathless. "I'm still putting on my coat, I haven't even left my house yet." The phone almost slipped from my hand. I stared at the front door, the silence on the other side felt alive. Someone or something was pretending to be him. I backed away slowly. The knocking began again, gentle at first, then harder, faster, until it felt like the whole door would break down. Then all at once, it stopped. Minutes later, Mr. Grant arrived with a flashlight. When he shone it across the porch, we saw them, footprints in the snow, circling the house, over and over again. At least 10 different tracks around the walls, but none leading back toward the road. The police came shortly after. They checked the property, the woods, everything, no sign of anyone. But one officer mentioned something strange. A few houses down, someone had called earlier that night to report a man knocking on random doors, whispering names through the wood. When my parents came home the next day, I tried to act normal. But even now, whenever snow starts to fall and the world goes quiet, I can still hear those soft, patient knocks. Like whoever it was is still out there, waiting for me to answer. It happened last autumn, when the leaves had turned a deep orange and the nights began arriving earlier than usual. I had just moved into a small, old apartment on the outskirts of Chicago, the kind of building that creaks when the wind blows and shadows seem to linger longer than they should. The landlord told me it had character, but he didn't warn me about the feeling of being watched that would start haunting me in just a few days. The first night was quiet, almost too quiet. I was on my couch, laptop on my knees, trying to finish an assignment and simultaneously binge-watch a late-night series. Outside, the wind rattled the window panes and the rustling leaves scratched along the pavement. Everything seemed normal until my phone buzzed. A call, unknown number. I hesitated. Usually I ignored such calls, but something made me pick it up. "Hello," I whispered, my voice cracking. Silence. Then a slow, deliberate breathing, soft, almost playful, yet heavy with intent. "Hello," I asked again, my hands trembling. A distorted, almost whispering voice responded. "Are you alone?" My chest tightened, my heart raced. I stared at the screen, hopping for a prank or wrong number, but deep down I knew this wasn't ordinary. I'm alone," I said, my voice barely audible. Another pause. Then, "I know." The blood drained from my face. I dropped the phone onto the couch, the plastic rattling against the fabric. I told myself it was probably a glitch, or a prank, maybe someone I knew. But the feeling of being seen was immediate, overwhelming. 20 minutes passed. I tried to focus on my laptop, but the sound of the wind outside seemed louder, whispering through the trees, brushing against the building, like tiny fingers tapping at the walls. Then my phone buzzed again, unknown number. I ignored it, but it buzzed repeatedly, relentless. Each vibration echoed through the empty apartment, making me feel smaller and more trapped. Finally, curiosity and fear combined, and I picked it up. The screen flashed, a live video call, unknown number. I answered. The screen was black, just black, and then a shadow moved. Slow, deliberate, from the corner of the frame a figure emerged, dark, featureless, but unnervingly human in shape. I jumped, nearly dropping the phone. I scanned my apartment. Nothing. When I looked back at the screen, the figure had moved closer, crouching now, directly in front of a camera I didn't know existed. My chest constricted. I could feel my own rapid breathing, visible in the cold night air of the apartment. I ran to the door, gripping my keys, my phone still in hand. Every floorboard creaked under my weight, sounding louder than ever. I reached the exit, peered into the empty hall, and then out into the dimly lit street. Nothing, empty, silent, but my phone buzzed again, this time just a notification, a video message. I hesitated, then opened it. The video showed me, sitting on the couch, frozen, phone in hand, staring at the wall. I screamed and dropped the phone. Shards of glass scattered across the floor. The room felt colder, the shadows deeper. Every small sound, the wind, the creaks of the building, my own heartbeat, amplified. I called Jenna, my friend, barely able to speak. "There's someone watching me. They have my apartment, my phone." Her voice was urgent. "Lock everything, don't answer anything. Call 911 if it happens again. And Jamal, just stay calm, okay?" Minutes dragged on. I sat in the dark, lights on, clutching a kitchen knife, convinced I was trapped in some nightmare I couldn't wake from. Then the phone buzzed again, unknown number. I looked at it, the screen displayed a live video feed, my apartment, from somewhere I hadn't seen before. The camera angle was from above, behind me, as if someone was watching me from the ceiling. I turned, nothing. When I looked back at the screen, the figure was there again, crouched in the corner of my room, its distorted face mimicking mine, copying my every movement. I ran out, keys in hand, into the empty, leaf-strewn street. Every step I took felt like I was being followed. The shadows seemed to twitch, elongate, and reach toward me. The phone vibrated one last time, unknown number. Weeks later, a package arrived at my old apartment with no return address. Inside was a cracked smartphone. When I powered it on, the screen displayed my old living room, live, and I could see myself, sitting exactly where I had been the night it began, staring at the phone. I moved immediately to another city, another apartment. But sometimes, late at night, my phone vibrates once. Unknown number. and I hear breathing. Slow, deliberate, right behind me. It happened the winter I turned 20. I had just accepted a temporary job as a caretaker for an old family estate deep in the forests of northern Wisconsin. The estate had been abandoned for decades. Dust lay thick on every surface, cobwebs draped the corners like tattered curtains, and the floors creaked beneath my every step. The windows were grimy and frosted over, allowing only streaks of moonlight to illuminate the dark halls. The landlord had warned me, "No one has lived alone here in years. Just be careful. It's not the place for the faint of heart." I laughed, assuming he was exaggerating. I was young, confident, and convinced I could handle it. The first night alone was eerily quiet. I had settled into the main room, a massive fireplace my only source of warmth. I brought books, blankets, and enough food to last the week. The silence felt heavy, oppressive, as if the house itself were waiting. Every sound, a floorboard creaking, the wind whistling through the cracks, felt amplified, unnatural. Around midnight, a soft knock echoed from somewhere deep within the estate. 3 slow, deliberate raps. I froze. No one was supposed to come here. I told myself it was the wind, or perhaps a branch scraping the siding. But the sound came again, moving from the front door to the hallways, faster now, deliberate, like footsteps packing an invisible circle. My phone had no signal. I was completely isolated. Panic set in, a tight knot in my chest. The knocks became accompanied by whispers, soft, indistinct, but unmistakable. "Leave now or stay forever." I gripped the fireplace poker and slowly moved through the house. The hallways twisted unnaturally. Doors appeared where there should have been walls. Each step echoed like a drum in the cavernous estate. Suddenly I heard footsteps following me, heavy, slow, patient. I spun around, nothing. But I could feel it, watching me, tracking my every movement. I ran into the kitchen, then the dining hall. Shadows seemed to stretch and shift with every flicker of the fireplace flame. I stumbled over loose floorboards, tripping into chairs and tables. The whispers grew louder, overlapping, as if multiple voices surrounded me. "You cannot escape, you belong here." Hours passed, though it felt like eternity. I stumbled into the basement, desperate to find a hiding place. The door at the far end opened into a single room. In the center was a chair, facing away from me. On it, a black notebook lay open. My name was written across the first page. I approached cautiously, hands shaking. The pages were filled with entries, dates, times, details. Every moment of my life leading up to this night was meticulously recorded, and at the bottom of the latest page, "Tonight, you join us." A cold chill enveloped me. I turned and the figure was at the foot of the stairs. Slowly, impossibly tall, its shadow stretching across the walls. Featureless face, yet I could feel its eyes piercing me. I backed into the corner, clutching the poker, heart pounding. The fireplace flickered, casting grotesque shadows across the room. The figure advanced. Each step seemed synchronized with my heartbeat, growing louder and louder. I bolted through hallways that seemed to twist around me, doors appearing and disappearing, the layout of the house defying logic. I reached the front door, only to find it locked from the outside. The snowstorm outside raged, and the cold bit at my skin as I frantically tried to break free. Desperate, I smashed a window and climbed out, cutting my hands on the jagged glass. Snow swallowed me as I ran blindly into the woods, hearing footsteps behind me, heavier than mine, yet silent. Branches clawed at my face, roots caught my feet, but I didn't stop. The house loomed behind me, impossibly massive, lights flickering in windows that shouldn't exist. Finally, a car appeared on the snow-covered road. I waved frantically. The driver stopped without asking questions. I climbed in, gasping, bleeding, frozen with terror. As we drove away, I dared to look back. The house seemed to breathe, the shadows twisting like living things, and I could hear the whispers carried by the wind. Weeks later, I returned with the police. The estate was gone. Foundation leveled, walls collapsed. Nothing remained but snow-covered ground. I searched the surrounding woods. No footprints, no evidence, just silence. But sometimes, late at night, I can't sleep. Sometimes I feel a presence in my room, cold, watching, waiting. And sometimes my phone vibrates once. Unknown number. And I hear the knocks. Slow, patient. 3 raps echoing from every corner of the room. And then the whisper. "We've been waiting for you." I can never tell if I hear it from the walls, the floor, or inside my own mind. I know one thing, the estate didn't let go. It never will.